It's my very favorite time of year, Carter. Moneyball. Moneyball is back. It was the first game at Michigan State's Moneyball event at Holt High School last night. If you are unfamiliar, come on. By now, you should be familiar. We do this every single summer, and it's a nice injection of life into the summer days.
Like
Moneyball
life, an injection of life, is it?
and death, but mostly life.
Okay.
Moneyball is a pro-am that Michigan State's players have played in for a very, very long time, over a decade now. Tom Izzo sends his rosters to basically an event for the local community to come get a look at what the team is going to be this upcoming season. They invite back a bunch of local and some non-local players that either are playing in the collegiate level right now at lower levels or have graduated and have come through. Occasionally, you'll see NBA players come through. There have been times where Draymond Green has returned, Denzel Valentine has returned, Miles Bridges has returned, Jaren Jackson. So last night, there were no pros in the gym as far as I could tell, but we did get a bunch of highlights of people that were in the gym. I talked to 4 different people who were in the gym last night, Cart. And I'm not even like trying to be full blown reporter, but I feel like I have better sources from Moneyball last night than I do anything else. And there are some early takeaways, whether you want to downplay them or not downplay them, that's up to you. But we got our first look at Michigan State basketball, and there's a lot to talk about. So throw it to you, the Michigan State fan on this show. What were your biggest takeaways from Moneyball last night?
Well, one, I just want to thank Moneyball for giving me the opportunity to. It's an event that is one fun for the fans to come out and be able to. It's a free event. They do it every summer, and a lot of people can come watch Michigan State players, whatever players they want to watch. I know people very much enjoy that. Two, I enjoy it because it is an event that you can use at your leisure. It's really if you want to use it, I can ignore what I want. I can use what I want. It's whatever I want to make my agenda or my feelings about my team move forward. And for that, I very much appreciate it. With that said, I was not in the building. I saw the highlights, right? I talked to like 2 people who were there. And just like there were some reviews about Fiddler being really good. Him and the game with him and Kurt Hang was a really fun one to watch. I heard Jace was doing some things. Kohler was doing the Moneyball thing. Aikens had his moments.
What does it mean when you say Kohler's doing the Moneyball thing? What does that mean?
He's one of the best Moneyball players of all time. He is a Moneyball legend. If there was a Moneyball Raptors, a Kohler jersey with Fago on the front would be up there.
So what you're saying is Moneyball doesn't necessarily translate to what's going to happen in season.
No pro-am ever really does. Rarely does it.
Yeah, Jackson has been phenomenal in the past, and it sounds like he was phenomenal last night. I cut you off. Anything else?
Um, no, nothing else.
Okay. In general, do you think it's worth reacting to things that happen in Moneyball as if they could impact the team in the season?
It depends. It depends.
Okay.
If someone does react to it a certain way, I'm not over here like stop it, get real. But I'm also like not advocating it.
Yeah.
But it's personal preference on how you feel about it. The one thing I'll say is I think there's a tiny bit of like maybe basketball performance, or more so just like how the players approach it that maybe shows you some things. But all in all, there's really nothing much to take from it unless you choose to.
Okay. Might be a specific thing you're alluding to there. I'll get to that in a moment. Car, who's the most overreactionary person you know?
It's probably me or you.
It's me. Yeah,
Yeah.
me was the answer I was going for. Am I able to do my thing here?
When have I ever told you to not be yourself, Gregory?
So, okay, here we go. Deep breath, everyone. I say this spiel every single year. It feels like I give this in the first Moneyball video we do every single year, and I'm gonna give it again. It is not fun to not react. If you want to approach Moneyball and just say, none of this matters, why are they even talking about this? Nothing that happened last night matters at all. It's meaningless. This is not the video for you from this point forward. Okay? If it's a perfectly fine way to approach, it's a perfectly fine way to feel. Guess what? We are a content channel that talks about college basketball. There is no reason to talk about Moneyball if we are going to say it's all meaningless and there's nothing that matters here. I don't feel that way in my heart of hearts. I don't think Carter feels that way in his heart of hearts. I think we have seen things through the years at Moneyball that have translated before. I think we've also seen things that have totally not translated before. I could give you examples if you want. In fact, I will. Jackson Kohler's 50-point game last year on one side did not translate. On the other, it did, because Xavier Booker couldn't guard him. That was some data point, okay? AJ Hoggard in the past in Moneyball. Big time bad body language guy. Big time I don't want to be here, I'm pouting guy. Kind of translated through the years. We've also seen Trey Holloman. He was really bad in a Moneyball game last year. I completely wrote him off. That didn't translate at all, because Trey Holloman ended up being good for Michigan State before. We've seen Jaden Akins have like highlight reel nights where I think he's the best player on the team. That hasn't translated yet. So yeah, I get it. Some things are not going to translate, some are. But no matter how you feel about this, if you want us to throw it all out, the one thing you cannot deny, Moneyball is a data point. It's why I like that Michigan State does this. I wish more teams did this. It is players given an opportunity to play basketball for their fans and for their community. Let's see how they approach it, and let's see what they do on the court. Whether or not it translates, we'll find out in 6 months. But it is a data point, and what we see is worth talking about, in my opinion, and we'll find out how real some of this stuff is. So some of the biggest takeaways, I think you hit on some of them, but things that I heard from people who were in the gym last night and called me to talk about this that I think map with the buzz everyone else is saying. Number one, Frankie Fiddler is a dude. Frankie Fiddler looks the part. He looks like a bucket. He arguably looked like the best player in the gym, according to everybody that saw this in person last night. His scoring prowess was on display. He made a half-court shot at the buzzer. He just looks like a legitimate knockdown shooter type, but he had athleticism with it, popped up for a couple dunks. Like, just eye test-wise, there's your best wing right there. It's Frankie Fiddler. I've been skeptical on that coming in. I think this is a great development. Like, this is already altering my perception of who Frankie Fiddler is. I think we can toss some of the skepticism aside.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. The thing is, I try to stay consistent with my Moneyball stuff, right, G? So it's like I can't get too high or overreact on the good stuff while also downplaying the bad stuff, right? But I will agree with you. Fiddler, from what I heard, was the best player in the gym. I think he had like 32 points. There was also like a stretch, like a 3 to 4 minute stretch during the game where like him and Kurtang were just kind of going back at it. Who I also mentioned, I thought Kurtang looked real good. Like, because I think it was you, me, and DK were talking about it in a group, and we're like, Fiddler probably, I mean, we knew it before, like he was gonna be like that, the starting wing. But there's going to be a guy who's going to get some minutes at that backup wing 2-guard role. And it's probably going to be between Jace, Norman, and Kurtang. And it's probably going to come down to which one of those guys is knocking down shots.
Yeah. Yeah. I have 3 good takeaways and 3 bad takeaways for what it's worth. And again,
can I request 4 good takeaways and 3 bad so I can have more than bad?
I don't know if I can cut one of the bad if you want. We can go 3 good, 2 bad.
Nah, I need all of them.
Okay. But again, look, if this was a different program than Michigan State, I swear I'd feel the same way about this. Like, it's a data points we're talking about, and it's takeaways. And number one, for sure, for me, from everything I saw, was like Frankie Fiddler's going to be a dude. That changes the trajectory of Michigan State. If Frankie Fiddler is just a no-brainer, double-digit scorer on the wing. Thing number 2, the freshmen looked the part. Freshmen look really good. And I know you mentioned Kurtang. I think you also name-dropped Jace Richardson there. That's a guy you've been skeptical of in the past. To me, both of these guys look like they deserve some minutes, whether at the 2 or maybe the 3. Kurtang, like, there were some tweets clipped out or clips tweeted out. Like, there was real defense being played on Kurtang a couple times. Like, not all Moneyball games have the tone of like, we're competing tonight. It often comes down, you've seen it before in person with me. It often comes down to how the Michigan State guys approach it. Like, if the Michigan State dudes on the floor want to take shit serious and guard, then everybody else will. They'll follow that command. If the Michigan State players want to run 3-point line to 3-point line and pout and sit out the first 5 minutes of a half, then it's not going to be a very serious run. And the Curtin game was pretty legit competition wise from what I saw. Number one, that I like that from a competition standpoint, from how Kerr approaches it. And number two, we got to see some clips of him actually scoring on real defense. Like, he can get to his spots. He has some off the dribble shit I didn't expect. I thought he was kind of just a knockdown shooter type. To me, I've been loud about it before. I think there's a world where he starts at the 3 on this team. I don't know where that would leave Frankie Fiddler. Maybe you go like super small and play Fiddler at the 4, or maybe this comes at the expense of one of the other guards. But I think Kurtang is going to be on the floor a good amount this season. And I liked what I saw from Jace Richardson too.
Yeah, I did. I will say in the group of the freshmen, I think McCullough struggled a little bit in his time, and I think he might be a redshirt candidate. I think he might need a year, to be honest with you,
which I think is okay. I think it's okay.
Yeah, which is okay because there probably wasn't going to be minutes for him this year anyway. So yeah, give him a year. That might help him out, but also just Moneyball, so who knows?
Yeah. Third, good. Coen Carr was hitting threes. Now, depending on who you ask, from the 4 sources I said I have in the gym, 2 of them were like, oh yeah, shot looks good, I buy it. And 2 of them were like, a couple went in, it still looks really bad. So I'm just giving you the data from what I heard from people that watched this. It seems split. It's not like this dude's a knockdown shooter now. But the reality is last year, Coen Carr didn't even try to do anything from outside 5 feet away from the hoop. So if Coen Carr is like comfortable enough to actually take 3-pointers in a game and make 2 of them right now, he also there's a couple clips of him like blowing by dudes off the dribble. Now again,
that spin dunk was like
something else.
But the thing is, if he's just able to even be a smidge of a threat to shoot it, I'm not even saying make it, to be honest with you. Make 1 out of 4 for all I care. Would really like 1 out of 3, 2 out of 5, whatever, something like that. But brother, if it's just a baby threat that you could let it fly, that just opens up all that athleticism that you have. Because like the pump spin dunk was nasty.
Yeah, it's look, from the videos that were sent to me, he showed more things that he can do with the basketball than he did in his entire season, including Moneyball last year. Like, he's never tried to put the ball on the floor. He's never tried to shoot a 3, and he's certainly never had the footwork on that spin move, gather step dunk. I think this bodes really well. That would be my big thing. I say stock up Frankie Fiddler, stock up Jace Richardson and Kurtang, and stock up Coen Carr. And if we're being honest, Cart, that's 4 different guys that factor in on the wing, which was probably my big concern other than center for Michigan State coming into the season. It's like, you got a lot of bodies. You don't got a lot of proven players. I feel a lot better about your wing spots now. Now it really does come down to like, how do your stars star? The guys who are supposed to step up and be those guys. Which leads me to my negatives. Are you ready? Are we ready to do this one?
Yeah, I'm ready.
The Discord was upset about this one last night. Some people agree with me, though. Shout out to middle name the team. According to everyone in the gym, Xavier Booker was a disaster. Simple as that. I don't really need to say more, but I will say more. It wasn't anything about his basketball playing. It wasn't about his skill set. It was mentality. It was, how did he approach this? So again, if you want to throw everything out, you're entitled to do that. Do whatever you want. If you want to say, who cares about mentality? It's Moneyball. Fine. The reality is, according to everyone who watched this, Xavier Booker did not want to be here. He approached this with less interest than every other Michigan State player that was there. He did not put an ounce of effort into his time on the basketball court. He ran 3-point line to 3-point line. Ran is probably a little generous. He jogged 3-point line to 3-point line. He pouted, for lack of a better word. Like, that's what was told to me from people in the gym. He sat out the start of the second half. Like, when things are supposed to be serious and have a competitive game, he's just like, yeah, I don't want to play. Arms crossed on the bench. So that's a massive red flag to me. And I get, you can throw it out. Okay, he didn't care about a pro-am. He'll care about the season. There's like a huge gap here about like him being a program guy, though. Like, Moneyball is something Michigan State as a program has embraced for 2 decades. And the MO with Booker has never been talent. It's always been like, does he care about basketball? Does he try? Is he pouting? Awful start for the guy who's supposed to be the star this season. And that would really frustrate me if I'm a Michigan State fan. I didn't need to hear, like, hey, Jackson Kohler's busting Xavier Booker again. This is year 2 of that. That certainly doesn't feel good. At a certain point, like, you want to see him step up and embrace kind of taking the reins leadership wise and serious wise, culture wise of this program. It doesn't appear that happened last night. Do you care at all about this?
I do. I do care. And this is why. I don't care anything about actual basketball, make shots, miss shots, anything like that in Moneyball. But like to me, put myself in his shoes. Obviously, I'm not him, but I'm gonna do that. That's what I do in this situation. I'm not saying you gotta be locked in like it's the final four, but like, don't you want to like it's fun to play basketball. Like, don't you want to like, go out and do some dunks and shoot some threes, like get involved with the crowd, act like just I'm not even asking to give actual effort, but like the fact that, the main takeaway from everything from what Booker did was that he didn't want to be there, then like just don't play then. Like there's no point in not playing. And if he didn't play, I would be asking the same question, like why is he not playing? I don't know. To me, outside looking in, the disinterest is just kind of it's just odd to me, and it's not something that makes me feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, and I get people are like, who cares? This doesn't matter. I understand that side of this. To me, the hope was not just that Xavier Booker's a good basketball player for you this year. The hope was that this program gets handed to Jeremy Fears and Xavier Booker this year. Like the Michigan State basketball program is now in the hands of Jeremy Fears and Xavier Booker. And Jeremy Fears isn't playing this event because of precautionary purposes, and Xavier Booker might as well not have played in the event. So I don't know where that leads you. To me, and again, it's not about talent, but if this team's leaders are Jaden Akins and Frankie Fiddler, that feels an awful lot like the last couple teams that had like a transfer lead, and you're kind of missing the homegrown Michigan State guy stepping up and taking the reins. And again, I mentioned at the top, the last guy that we saw really be pouty at Moneyball was AJ Hogard. We saw the trajectory of his career. Like it turned from Michigan State fans like believing in this dude to Michigan State fans really turned on this dude at the end of his career. And I do think there's a world where that happens. If Xavier Booker's not earning minutes and he's approaching things this way that he approached Moneyball last night, I don't know how much patience the Michigan State fan base is going to have with that because they need something more from him this year. The second negative takeaway I had, not to pick out one other guy individually too harsh, but was not impressed with Carson Cooper from what I was told and from what I saw. I know he had like an airballed post attempt with like a 6'5" guarding him. From what I was told, if you were stack ranking the bigs, maybe you heard different. Jackson Kohler looked like the best big there. And then it was kind of a whole lot of meh. It was like Xavier Booker not taking it serious, and it was Carson Cooper and Zapala just sort of out there. I don't think it's a good thing for the Michigan State team that Jackson Kohler is once again looking like the best big in this event. What are your thoughts on the big situation?
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared to be honest with you because I mean everything I heard was I think it was a toss up between well it was Kohler one right and then Zapala two and Cooper was like fourth behind Booker who we just said was like bad like just Coop just didn't play well didn't really look that great had the same issues as far as catching the ball that I think he struggled with last season and it's just I just I hate doing this because I like when guys are open and talk and do all these things, but like you can't like go on Twitter and be like people don't see all these stats about me and people like oh people are sleeping on me doing all this and then in the very first setting we see you look like the same player that you were last season and in some people's opinions he looked worse than he did last season like it was the first game obviously so hopefully it improves but no one left any of the Moneyball games blown away by any of the bigs except Jackson Kohler who did the Jackson Kohler thing.
which we should applaud. I feel like we're just shrugging that off. Like,
Yeah, we should. I mean, if you want to do the one thing we forget to mention is that Jackson was doing the same thing in Moneyball last season, and then he hurt himself right
he
before the
got hurt.
season.
Yeah.
He got hurt. So like, maybe it is a something that we can lean on and be maybe even put in the positive category, but it would have been nice to see something from the other three bigs in this game.
Yeah, I still believe in Jackson Kohler having the highest ceiling of these dudes, obviously outside of Xavier Booker. All right, I think I'm going to scrap my third negative. I think you've deserved that, and I'll say it to you offline. But I don't actually think the third negative is something that we need to worry about long term. It's just a thing that happened last night. So
Can you text it to me first, and then I can
yeah,
decide
I'll text it to you, and you can tell me if you
if I
think
want
this is
if
even
we want.
worth it. I don't
Yeah,
think it is, but
yeah, swing that.
I just sent it to you. Yes or
Yeah,
no?
let's save it.
Let's save that one. Okay.
Yeah, let's save
So of the five that I gave you, five takeaways, three good, two bad. Can you please stack rank how likely these are to have ramifications on the Michigan State season? So Frankie Fiddler's a dude. This Michigan State freshman class has real players. Uh, who's my third positive?
it. Coen Carr.
Coen Carr's doing things that aren't dunks. Xavier Booker's disinterested. Carson Cooper and the bigs in general are gross.
And how would you like me to stack rank these?
Stack rank
Like,
them in order of most likely to least likely to have real ramifications on the Michigan State basketball season.
most likely is I think most likely I would stack Book as one
Wow.
because if Book is good, I'll be
Oh,
able to sleep at
no,
night.
I don't mean like what if, like what matters the most. I want like most likely to actually happen
Oh, most likely to actually happen. Oh, okay, got you. Fiddler one, I think, is the one most likely to happen.
over the
Um,
bigs struggling.
I think two would be big struggling.
Okay.
Two would be big struggling. Three, three, I'll go freshman doing some things. Four, Carr, five, Booker.
That's some optimism there, or you really believe that's like the one you throw out as you're not worried about it?
Optimism.
Okay. All right. Do you want my rankings or should we just move on?
Let's get your ranking. I want to let it be known, like I am, like I'm not trying to like pile on Book whatsoever because like I believe in the talent of the kid. I believe in him 100%. Like this is me being behind him as a player, but I have a hard time. I just have a hard time like coming to grips with the fact that you're in that setting and you're like in a setting where you can have some fun. Basketball is fun. Hooping is fun. Playing in pro-ams is actually really fun, in my opinion, because like if you're playing in that setting, like you don't have to play defense for real. You can just do the fun stuff. But like throw a smile on, act like you want to be there, act like you want to hoop, do something, like get the crowd like into it. I get like not everyone is wired like that or built like that, but like you should have, like look just look like you don't hate your life.
Yeah, I mean, not all college basketball players love basketball. That's the reality. Some do, some play it. And I'm not saying Booker is either. I don't know the kid. We also don't know. Like maybe something happened in his personal life that just he had a bad day and it
True.
happened. But yeah, not exciting. My most likely to like actually occur, one just has to be like the bigs are a huge problem. That has to be. Fiddler is two. I'm buying that that's for real. Fiddler is two. Then I think there's a gap. I think those two are both really likely. Three, I think Booker's attitude is real. And I'm sorry, maybe that's me being a negative Nancy, but like this is just the absolute last thing I would want to hear. And it's like the first thing everyone told me on the phone when I talked to him. Like, hey, what happened at Moneyball tonight? Xavier Booker's a disaster. That is the worst possible thing we could hear. First thing on the phone. And that was everyone's takeaway from being in the gym. I do think it matters. It's year two. He needs to grow up and actually act like he cares. Four, I'll say Coen Carr, because look, man, if Book doesn't earn minutes, the recipient's going to be Coen this year. There ain't a
Yeah.
Malik Hall. So if Coen can actually do some things, I think he could be really good. And at least you have that safety net of there's another option if Booker really can't play. And then 5 is the freshman. I think even if the freshmen are ready, I worry there's kind of a time crunch because like Fears, Holloman, Akins, Fiddler are going to need a lot of minutes 1 through 3, no matter how good these freshmen are.
Yeah. I'm not mad at that stack ranking.
Loaded position group. The NBA draft is coming up, and I've got something awesome for you. We are partnering with the people at NBA 2K Lab. NBA 2K is the best video game on earth. The people at 2K Lab are making some awesome stuff to make that game even more fun, and they just launched their 2024 NBA Draft Simulator, where you can find the official Sleepers Media big board. We ranked our top 75 players in this draft class. Me, Carter, Brian Ralph, Riley Davis. We did it together, and it is featured on the 2K Lab NBA Draft Simulator. You can take control of any team in the draft, play GM with just one click, and see our entire rankings before these videos even come out. Check out the link in the description of this video to try out the draft sim for yourself, and you can find more mini games at nba2klab.com/NBA-mini-games.